Dan RadioStyle, hope everybody's doing fantastic. This is kind of a mixture of a show. So being a vibrational match to your manifestation is kind of where this started from. But then this is also going to kind of spin into that whole choosing to be positive more than 50% of the time, right? Or 51% of the time versus, 49% of the time. Ties into that whole concept. So that's really what I'm going to talk about and hopefully get us to understand. Really, I think when we look at it from that vantage point, I think it's going to actually help us understand manifestation even more than we currently do, because it helps us see that, yes, our focus has power. So how this came into more of a vibrational match show, I guess. How did I get there? The thought came about, like, how would you tell someone to do that? Someone had asked a question in one of the comments, and you think about it, and you're like, well, that is kind of an interesting question. It's certainly one of the things you can consider doing is when you spend time imagining from that situation, when you act as if you already have it, right? When you do some of these tricks in our minds to imagine these things and feel that certain way, when you reach that level of feeling, you're now vibrating like you're matching with it. You are vibrating with it. Like you are at that same frequency. You're coming at it from love, coming at it from a good, happier kind of place. It's that sort of being with it, like how you would feel when you have it. Like imagining that is that matching the vibration. Now, a lot of us can sometimes feel a little different, maybe like right now, for example. Like maybe you've done some imaginal work this morning, right? And you were thinking about your specific person, and you put yourself into this great, wonderful feeling. You were feeling the love. You were with them. You knew you were doing thought transmissions that were powerful and definitely positive, and everything was wonderful and good. And then like an hour later, maybe something happened. Maybe you looked at their social media like you shouldn't have. We always tell you not to, right? Maybe you did one of those silly things. Maybe they texted you something weird out of the blue that maybe you misunderstood. Maybe you didn't. I don't know, but it didn't make you happy, right? Like whatever the case is. How you feel right this second also matters. Also matters. We've talked before. Like, law of attraction isn't something you turn on when you actually want to use it and you turn it off when you're done using it. Like, the techniques aren't law of attraction. Law of attraction is a concept that what you focus on is what you create more of. That is law of attraction. That is what it's all about. Techniques are how you can help shape that, how you can help practice that in certain ways, how you can help behave better. I don't know, whatever. But law of attraction's always on. Always 100% of the time on. So you did the great work this morning, but then later in the day, we have the thoughts that challenge us. A lot of us do it, mind chatter, and it's okay. I'm not telling you that's wrong. I'm not telling you that's bad. I'm saying that as our faith increases, letting go sometimes helps. Keep focusing on other things that also kind of are in line with what you're trying to manifest. So maybe it's a specific person, but also if you kind of get this enhanced income, that probably helps with that too, because then it'll help afford a family, right? So you're thinking ahead and you're like, yeah, no, this all works together. Or maybe you're a work-at-home person, and that kind of setting it up so you can continue to work from home might make it easier for you to be a mother and still hold down your job, right? And kind of try to still make income doing that kinds of things. Again, we can manifest and look at other aspects and directions that certainly help with what it is that we're trying to manifest. So for me, that helps a lot with the whole paying attention to right now and having to do affirmations, because I keep noticing I don't have that one thing that I'm looking for. So yes, it does help when you don't have so much focus on that one thing. It does help sometimes when you just kind of let go and just go, whatever, I don't care, or I know I got this, or whatever your version of letting go is at the moment, because it can come in a few different ways, right? All of these things are helpful. But that being said, the thoughts we have when we're doubting, when we're all those things, actually create that as well. And so what they say, and this is what they frequently speak about when it comes to that more than 50%, when you think of we're going to be together like 50.1%, right? And then, oh no, we're never going to be together. And that's 49.9%, right? That's 49.9%, and 51.1% of the time, you're totally believing that you're going to get them. You're going to get them. It's possibly going to take a while because you're netting about 0.1 on the whole transaction. If you think about it, you're barely doing more than half. But the reality of it is and this is what many of us experience, and this is, I think, where the really beautiful part of this is, you're actually manifesting both. 51.1% of the time, you're probably going to notice that things are working towards it. It feels good. It feels wonderful. And about 49.9% of the time, you're going to probably experience doubt and question, and that's your experience of the situation. You're actually creating both of those scenarios. So the things that are occurring that are causing you to doubt are happening because you're doubting, because we have the doubt cycles. Remember, what we think, do, and say today is our experience tomorrow. So if we're going through doubt cycles today, that is going to impact our tomorrow. Maybe it was 25% of the time. Maybe it was 49.9% of the time. Maybe it's 75% of the time you're being negative or scary or sketchy, right? It can improve, and all of that can improve. My point is that we are creating both of those outcomes. Everything we focus on, we create. Universe doesn't go, all right, so 51.1% of the time, you're getting them. No, don't worry about the 49.9% of the time. No, don't worry about it. Erased. It's stricken from the record. It's taken away. You don't have to worry about this. No, that's not how it works. 49.9% of the time, your thoughts were in the garbage. And so that is why you keep saying, I keep having these situations where every time I get close and then we get far away, or I keep having these situations where we get this close and then he does X, Y, or Z and I can't stand him now. Or, this keeps happening. I keep going through these cycles. That 49.9% of the time is what inspires all of these rants. It's what inspires that bad timing when you looked on social media right when you shouldn't have and happened to see that photo that spun you off down that negative path. So again, not a good thing, not a bad thing. I'm not judging the situation. Obviously, if you're trying to manifest a specific something, trying to be towards it, more positive towards it, more than 50% of the time is certainly your advantage. Now, again, if you're thinking about it less in the day, maybe you're focused on other things. Maybe you're focused on your job. Maybe you're focused on manifesting other things. So you spent like 30 minutes in the morning kind of doing some imaginal work, or 30 minutes last night before you went to bed doing some imaginal work. You thought of them a few times in the morning, maybe while you're showering. It was kind of like exciting, right? You thought good. You were connected with them. Maybe one or two other times in the day you've connected with them. Well, shoot, now you got, I don't know, you got like an hour and a half under your belt, right? Of time spent thinking about him in a positive way. And then at some point in the day for 5 minutes, you have a little moment where you're like, oh, no, he doesn't love me. And then you stop yourself and you're like, whoa, it's not that big a deal. Yeah, he does. And there's a lot of other good stuff going on. And you just happen to pick the wrong time to open up social media or to look at the little thing that just came from Instagram or whatever. And you're like, so-and-so just posted such and such. Well, what's going on? Right? Like that, my one small little part. It's okay. If you look at the big picture, right? You got about an hour and a half earlier and 5 minutes on the negative side, right? So that's 90 minutes and 5 minutes. I don't know. I don't want to do the math real quick, but frankly, your super high percentage of the time you're spending thinking of them and that lifestyle, well, a high percentage of that time is actually done in a positive way, trying to help what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So again, 51% of the time, 49% of the time, that's kind of a relative term as well. How much of the time are you actually thinking about them versus being focused on other things or sleeping or, driving or whatever? There's other things that we focus on. So again, one of the things that truly helps me, I got my imaginal scenes. I know what's coming because I know that's how it works. And whenever they pop into my head or whenever the idea shows itself to me, I basically kind of re-embrace what it is that I'm heading towards. So it's like, if I think of my SP, for example, or whatever, right? I'm like, oh yeah, totally. We're being together. It's great. Time's good right now. We're having a good time. Everything's great. We're going to continue to grow, blah, 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 right? Or if it's my job, my career, and the thought pops into my head, it's like, I'm totally going to be doing that kind of work. I love it. It's great. I look forward to when I'm doing that. I remember when I wasn't, right? Like have a little fun for a moment and then, all right, cool. So anyway, here I am driving again. Right? Or, oh yeah, and I'm also, want to take a cooking class because I really enjoy cooking. Totally unrelated to anything else, but something else I'm going to manifest, right? I'm going to become better at cooking. Now, personally, I love to cook and I'm not taking a cooking class. I just love cooking and do it all the time. So my class is maybe watching some of the cooking shows for sure. We're getting online, checking out recipes, but oh my God, I love to cook. So anyway, I'm just saying, as an example, that might be something else that I'm trying to manifest, right? Or in my case, maybe trying to manifest my YouTube and get those numbers keep going, which they're doing awesome and going up at a great pace, but still focused on this career thing that I'm doing that I enjoy. And it, pays really good, and it's a lot of fun, and it's challenging, and it's all the things I like to do in a job. So again, it's fun stuff. Like, all of it continues to play out. So that is how I kind of break it up a little bit, and I think it does help because you don't have as much detraction or as many detractors, or those negative thoughts is another way to put it, right? You don't have as many of those negative thoughts that keep freaking you out. And then it's when we entertain those negative thoughts, and then you spend 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes down that negative path. Well, now that 30 minutes relative to the 90 minutes you did earlier, that's 1/3 the time. You're really starting to eat into your efficiencies now, right? You're definitely impacting your speed. The fewer of those little interruptions you get, the better. Now, Louise Hayes said she was like 78% of the time when she was close to the, I don't know, it was pretty high, pretty good, which is awesome. And again, that's going to be relative to all that time you spend thinking about whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. It's still pretty good. Still pretty good. So yeah, maybe it's not instant. Maybe it will come in time. Maybe it takes a couple weeks, couple months. It still comes. And for those of us that have that level of faith, it's like, no, it'll be here in a couple months. That's cool. I'll wait a couple months for that. That's fine. I'll put a cake in the oven and wait 40 minutes or however long it takes to cook, right? I'll do that. It's going to smell delicious in the meantime, right? All these cool things are happening in the meantime. Getting these neat little coincidences, all those little signs, little things happen, little markers pop up in the middle of your life and say, hey, go this way, right? And you're like, oh my God, that's so cool. Those things happen. It's what makes it fun. So getting into that feeling space, I don't know. Like I said, this kind of spun into a little separate direction, but to kind of finish up on that path, getting into that feeling space is trying to feel it, trying to get there, trying to be that energy as best you can. If you're trying to bring love into your life, then being more loving is being in that space, being loving to other people, smiling to people, being kind to people, make notice of people. If I'm trying to get more love in my life, then that is the kind of behavior that I'm currently trying to do more of, because it creates more of that back to me. It gets me into that more similar vibration because I am doing and being what it is that I desire. If I'm looking to increase more wealth, more revenue, more things like that, maybe I'm hanging out with people more that have income. Maybe I'm actually going into, we have a really fancy mall up the road that's just like all the, like your Saks Fifth Avenue, right? And all that, like Tiffany's and all that crazy stuff, right? They got all those awesome stores that are really, really super expensive. But it's like one of those things where I want to feel like that. I want to feel that energy. I'll go up to that mall. I'll walk around. I'll walk into some of those stores. I might not be able to buy a Rolex just yet, but I do have a really nice watch, and I am moving in that direction. I could buy one, I guess, if I wanted to, but I'd have to probably charge it. I don't want to do that. That's ridiculous. But still, right? That's that next step for me. I've got a picture of a Rolex on my bathroom wall, and to get to the point where I'm totally happy dropping $15K on a watch, that's a good day. That's a good day indeed. So again, we all have to have our goals, our guiding lights that kind of get us moving in that direction. And it's totally cool to do that. So get yourself feeling that way. Get yourself out in the middle of what it is that you're trying to do. Get yourself in a more loving situation if that's what you're trying to do. If you're trying to create a more artsy path in your life, like I wanted to be a DJ for a period of time, that's when you start getting into theater, take improv classes, take drama, take choir, all those things kind of get you into that performing place. You're doing more of that behavior. Maybe spending more time singing at home, for example. Again, getting yourself into that place where you're feeling it. Not just imagining it, but feeling it, being in that place. Imagining how it is going to feel when your SP is sitting right next to you, and maybe you guys are munching on popcorn watching some great little romantic comedy or something, like Notebook or something crazy, right? You got that going on in there, and you're just crying happy tears together, right? With your popcorn, your salty popcorn with your salty tears, because they go together like hand in hand. So enjoy those moments when you feel that way. That's really, in my mind, what it is when you finally get yourself into that feeling place where you're like, yeah, no, I do. I get it. I get how I'm going to feel, or I get what it's going to be like to be able to put on that nice jacket because I tried it on at Saks Fifth Avenue. I tried on a sport coat that would have cost, $1,200 or something like that just to kind of see what it felt like. It's like sitting in a car to test drive it that's a bit outside your current price range. It's okay. You're sitting in it to get that feeling, to see what it would be like, to experience it. And if it's with a person, then imagine when they're right in front of you. Imagine when you're together. Imagine when you hug them, how it feels. That is the feeling. That is the vibrational match. That is the love that gets you, that thing, attracted to you. And again, how much time we spend thinking about it in a good way versus how much time we spend entertaining the negative thoughts, that ratio plays a huge part in how quickly things play out. So again, 51%, yeah, if you're really playing it out, and I spent 90 minutes earlier today, then I guess what, 45 minutes of that roughly should have been doing negative, I guess. Well, again, at that case, you're not moving that quickly. Well, actually, that would be wrong. That's 100%. That's more, right? So it would have been like 46 minutes and 45 minutes. 46 minutes good thoughts, 45 minutes bad thoughts, and there you go. That's pretty even keel. Again, so it's that kind of thing. And when you're doing it that way, you're not moving real quickly. When you keep taking a step back, every time you take a step forward, only your step back is just like a centimeter shorter than your step forward. So yeah, eventually you are moving slowly forward, but like at an iceberg pace. So let's try to break some of those things out of there. Let's try to increase some other aspects of what we're imagining and creating. Let's see if there's maybe some parallel stories that we can add to our life, to our relationships, to our seeking, and see if that maybe makes a bigger difference too. Because again, it gives you other things to focus on rather than just this one thing. Universe knows you want that, just that one thing. But there's nothing wrong with desiring other things too. You can have a few irons in the fire. It is going to help. And people will say, well, which one's quicker? Is it quicker to think about the one thing over and over and over? Sure, if you never have negative thoughts about it. But if that's the only thing you're thinking about, and 51% of the time you're thinking positive and 49% of the time you're thinking negative, then thinking one thing is probably not the best path for you. That's probably slowing you down. I would say, hey, do the work in the morning, do your little imaginal stuff, right? And then maybe think about some other stuff during the day, and maybe that'll get that ratio a little better, and in which case, then I would recommend it. So again, it depends what's working for you and what's not working for you, but what's most important in this law of attraction world is looking inward at what is happening with us, with our lives, with our thoughts, with our feelings. What is happening to me on a regular basis, and then what am I experiencing? If I'm happy with it, cool, and keep doing what you're doing. If it's not working for you, start tweaking stuff, because again, your thoughts today are your tomorrow. It's not real far away. It's not like you got to wait weeks and weeks to figure out what I'm doing wrong. No, you'll figure it out within a day or two. You should already start to see evidence of what you were just doing. Seriously, that quickly, with the good things and with the bad things. But remember, we're manifesting them both at the same time. So when you're manifesting that 49% of like negative energy, well, that's why you keep having bouts of doubt, why you keep having more negative things. Again, try to remove all those moments where you've got all that free time to start worrying about it, or stop stalking them on Facebook and spend some time thinking about some other cool things, or imagining maybe your child together instead of just focusing on you, right? Or you and them, I mean, right? Like whatever it is that kind of helps get you a sort of a parallel path to go along with it, I think you'll find a huge benefit to doing that, because I do think that removes the need for some of that chatter, because that's all you're focused on. It's hard not to notice. It's not here yet. We'll try again tomorrow, right? But if you're knowing it's coming and working on the other things too, well, a lot of pieces start to fall in place in life, and it makes every day a little more interesting, because you never know what iron in the fire is gonna be glowing to me today, right? What am I gonna see? What fun things, or multiple things for that matter, are gonna happen today? Hopefully this makes a big difference. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Always love that. You can do the little bell icon. It'll let you know if I've sent out any new videos. And of course, please leave comments, show topics, all that good stuff is always wonderful. And of course, like and share is always super helpful if you're into supporting the channel. I appreciate you guys very, very much. It's Dan RadioStyle. Thank you so much.